Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be doing another author focused video, and I asked for suggestions a few weeks ago on social media, and someone mentioned doing an author do and don't. And I thought about doing something specific, and then I couldn't figure out what specifically to focus on. So I decided just to do a more general author do and don't video. So I have 5 do's that I recommend and 5 don'ts that I suggest against. I am a published author. I am also a publisher. I do own the indie press Marching Inc. I am also a book blogger. I work heavily in the book industry between blogging, publishing, writing, marketing, editing, all that sort of good things. But these are just my suggestions. These are my humble opinions and advice. You can choose to listen to what I say. However, if you're doing something that works for you and I say something that maybe you're not doing but it works a different way for you, keep doing what works for you. We're all different. We all have different experiences, especially when it comes to genre. So what works in a romance and chick lit genre doesn't work in sci-fi and horror genre. So if you're doing something that works for you, do what works for you. I just want to put it out there that these are just my opinions, my suggestions, my advice, things that I have seen that have worked throughout my 7 years in the industry. So just want to throw that out there before people yell at me, because we all know when we put ourselves out on social media and we do these kinds of videos, we get a lot of harsh feedback at times. But just want to clear that up before I get into the video. If you would like to see some of my opinions, advices, and tips for authors, do's and don'ts, please keep watching. So one of my biggest pieces of advice, and this is what I say is a must do for authors, is to be on social media. Hopefully if you are watching this and you're an author, you are familiar with social media, but you need to be out there because that is where everybody is. I mean, everyone is on some sort of social media platform. So you need to get out there. You need to make sure you have, I would say at least 2 to 3 social media platforms, if not more. I'm not saying that you need to go out and join every single social media outlet there is, because that's too overwhelming. I don't do that. A lot of us don't have time for that. But you need to at least be out there in some way, because social media is such a terrific way to connect with your readers. Social media, I know, has its downfalls, but it also very much has its positives. And it's because we can reach out and we can literally become friends with our readers. And you see it more and more. It's such a fabulous way to connect with people. When I first started blogging and I started becoming friends with people in the virtual world, it was it literally was a whole new world opened up for me. I am someone who I'm a voracious reader. I absolutely love books, and I don't have a lot of people around me who are big readers. And so I really didn't have that outlet to be able to talk to other people about the books I was reading, the books that I loved, my dreams of becoming a writer myself. And once I got online and started in the blogging community and I opened up this world with friends who had the same interest in me, it changed my life. And I say that in all seriousness. Such a crazy, unique, something I never would have thought have happened, that I now have friends all over the world. I've been able to travel to meet some of these people. It's so crazy to me. But definitely as an author, you want to get on social media, you want to connect with your readers, you want to make friends with them, because if you make friends with them, they're able to form a connection to you. Even if you never meet and you only speak via social media, they'll feel a connection with you. So when you put a book out, they're like, hey, my friend, she's going to put a book out soon. I should probably buy it. I should read it. I should review it. I should tell other people about it, because we have such a great connection on social media. We should do that. So my biggest piece of advice really is to get on social media. I know it can be hard. I know it can be confusing. But there's also a lot of companies out there, and I do it myself too, that help you navigate through social media, help you put your profiles up there, help you get ideas of what to talk about. I remember when I first got on Twitter and I was like, not a clue. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to talk about? This is stupid. For the longest time when I got on Twitter, I couldn't figure out how to get the notifications of where other people were talking to me. Couldn't find that button to save my life. I'm not kidding. I was so confused. There's a lot of different companies and individuals out there that will help you. There's forums out there, there's blog posts, there's YouTube videos. There's so many ways out there to get help with social media, but that's really like one of my biggest pieces of advice is be sure to get on social media. One of my biggest don'ts for authors is don't respond to like negative reviews on your book. And I say this because I see it so often. If someone reviews your book and they don't like it and they critique it, and then authors come in and respond on some sort of social media platform, you either respond on the blog, you respond on their YouTube video, you respond on their Instagram post, you respond on their Twitter, and I've seen authors respond in ways that they're like defiant. They're like, well, I mean, it was written this way, you just didn't understand it. I've seen them angry. I've seen authors call reviewers names. It's just not pretty and it doesn't look professional. You don't need to try to defend yourself because not everyone is going to love your book. It's just the way of life. Not everyone's going to like your book. Not everyone's going to connect with your book. Does it make me angry when I see bad reviews out there and when I see reviews that I'm like, so for example, my third book, A Questionable Friendship, does not have a happy ending. And I put that in the synopsis. It says it right there. There is not a happy ending in the cards for everyone because I wanted people to be forewarned. Some people only want to read books with happy endings. That's fantastic. This isn't the book for you. I put that in the synopsis. And I had a reviewer write, I was so disturbed by the ending. I can't believe there wasn't a happy ending, blah, blah, blah. You know how bad I wanted to write? I told you that. I warned you. I warned you of that. If you would have read the synopsis, I would have told you that. But you can't say anything because it makes you look incredibly unprofessional when you do that. Even if you're trying to be very fair in the way that you say it, it still comes off as that you're looking petty and you're looking unprofessional. And I know that it's so hard to close your mouth and step away from the keyboard when you see those comments, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll write. I don't usually respond directly just in case I accidentally hit a button, but a lot of times what I do is I pull up a Word doc, I type my response, I get it all out, I get all mad, then I just delete it and move on. That's the way that I get over with it, but if you have your own thing that you want to do, go ahead. But it's a piece of advice that is around so much. So many people warn authors not to do this and authors still do it. It's just a bad decision. Just let those reviews go and know that not everyone's going to love your book. That I suggest for authors is do hire professionals when it comes to your book. And I'm meaning for cover design, I'm meaning for proofreading, for editing, for formatting your books. And I feel like this sounds like very common knowledge, like, hey, hire professionals for what you do for your profession, but I cannot get over how many authors I hear say that they did not hire professionals, and it blows my mind to hear that, to hear people say, well, I skipped over having an editor, or I just proofread it myself, like things like that. It really does blow my mind because you can tell, you truly can tell if you don't hire a professional cover designer and your cover doesn't look well. Covers are the very first thing that is going to reach your readers, and if the cover doesn't pull them in or entice them or look professional, they're not going to want to do it. If you're not going to put the professional quality into your book, readers aren't going to want to read it because readers are pretty savvy. We can tell when you are not putting forth your best foot. And if this is your passion, this is your career, this is your profession, you need to try to have all the pieces into place when it comes to hiring people. And I understand that hiring people can be expensive, but especially as the self-publishing industry grows, there is so many people. I mean, new companies, new individuals are popping up every single day offering, you know, sometimes they're new and starting out. They have good credentials, but they don't have a lot of clients yet, so their prices are lower. You know, you can always find someone who is more inexpensive but is still a professional. I know with my first book, I was totally overwhelmed when I got the first quote from my editor, but I thought to myself, well, I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to half-ass anything because this is what I want out of my life. So I know it can be overwhelming to see the numbers when you first get them in, but it will really make it worth it in the long run. Another don't I have is don't ignore your readers. Your readers are obviously like your most important people. Like you don't want to ignore them, and I see it so often where you know, we should be on social media, like I was saying, but readers will comment on, you know, Facebook pages, Twitters, Instagrams, etc. And authors are not responding to them. And the feedback that I get from certain authors is, you know, I'm just too busy, or I have too many comments, or etc. I totally understand that as well. I get that. But we also don't want to ignore our readers, and I just think it's very important to try to spend a few minutes of your day or even a few minutes of your week just to have some sort of time slotted out so you can go through your notifications and you can go through your feedback comments that you've gotten on your posts, things like that. I have a lot of different social media pages. I get a lot of different comments in a lot of different areas, and it is very hard to keep up with, but I still do it. Do I do it as they come in? No, because that's too overwhelming to me. What I do is, like how I said, I take a few, usually it's every day that I try to do it, because this is my full-time job. This is what I do all day, every day, is work with books. But I try to take a few minutes out of every single day, and it's usually when I'm like winding down, I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm just hanging out, I'll pull my phone up, I'll go through my notifications, I'll respond back to people, I'll talk to people. And again, it's just a really great way to form a connection. We don't ever want to get like a big head in the industry, is what I like to think of it. If you start to think you're too good for your readers, for your fans, for the people who are taking their time to tell you stuff, if we just start to ignore them, they're going to feel ignored and they're not going to care anymore. They're not going to want to reach out to you, because why are they going to bother? You're not responding to them anyways. So that's just a really big piece of advice I can give, is just don't ignore your readers. We want them to stay your readers. Another big piece of advice that I think sounds very like cliche, but I think is very true, is just have passion. Have passion in what you do. I say this because I have talked to authors in my years who don't seem to care. They don't seem to care about their books. They don't seem to really care about their writing. It's like, it's almost just like something they do as an afterthought. They just don't truly care about what they're doing. And I think that can relate in your writing. I think that can relate in the way that you handle your marketing. I think it can relate in the way that you talk to your readers. It's like, we can tell if you don't have passion or you don't care about what it is you're doing. And no matter what it is you choose to do in life, hopefully what you choose to do, you have a passion behind that. I understand that some of us have to work jobs because we need them, we need the paychecks, we need to take the steps forward, but hopefully you have something else in your life that you have passion about that you can do. So whether that be, like for me, I have a very big passion for yoga. I practice yoga every single day. I run an Instagram account with my best friend, we're the Cheeky Chicks, and hopefully you can tell by what we do and what we share and what we run that we have passion in what we're doing there. So I hope that one makes sense, but I just think if you're going to work in an industry and do something like writing books and connecting with so many people, like I just hope that you can be passionate about it, because if you are, it just will make it so much better. A don't that I have is don't cut corners, and this can relate to so many facets of being an author, of publishing, of talking to your readers, etc. And I feel like I've kind of touched on some of them, but what I mean by don't cut corners is, you know, just don't take any easy way out. Don't forget to hire your professionals. Like a lot of times I'll hear, not a lot of times, I have heard people say, you know, I didn't hire an editor because I had beta readers. That's fantastic. I think you should have beta readers. I think that might be on my do list, is to have beta readers. You should have beta readers, but unless your beta readers are actually editors as well, you still need to hire your editor. And that's fantastic that your friend who likes to read proofread the book for you, but you still need to have a professional proofreader go through the book for you. So don't cut corners. Again, it's something that I feel like people will be able to tell if you're cutting the corners, and you simply shouldn't want to. You should want your book, and you should want you as a brand, as the author. You should want to be the best that you can be, and cutting corners isn't going to get you there. Comes with like more of like the publishing aspect of the book process, and that is experimenting. And what I mean by that is experimenting with different ways of marketing, seeing what works for you, what doesn't work for you, making sure that you keep detailed notes and lists on, hey, I tried this website for promotion, it didn't work out for me, probably won't try that again, but I used this list and it worked super well. Also meaning Amazon has their KDP Select program, which is where your ebook will be published exclusively through Amazon. You wouldn't be able to have your book on like Nook, Kobo, iTunes, that sort of thing. Your ebook would have to be exclusive to Amazon for at least a 3-month time period. Some books thrive in the Select program. Other books do not. I have some authors with Marching Ink whose books do so well on Kobo, and so I would never want to put them into the Select program and lose the Kobo sales that we have. For one of my books, my first book, Destined to Fail, for some reason does so well. It does better on Kobo than it does on Amazon, which is just like bizarre because my other 3 books do better on Amazon than they do on Kobo and Barnes & Noble combined. It's so crazy, but each book is very different, and you kind of want to experiment. You want to play around. You want to see what works best, what retailers your books sell best on, what website promotions worked for you. Experiment with the price of your book. I mean, yes, you can do price promotions where your book is free or 99 cents, but you can also see, does your book sell good at $2.99? Does it still sell well at $3.99? We have some books with Marching Ink that just sell so well, so we have them priced at $3.99 because they still sell at $3.99. We have books that sell at $2.99, and I've tried to put them to $3.99 and they don't sell, so we put them back to $2.99. It's all just an experiment. You got to see what works for you, but just don't be afraid to try different things. A don't I have is don't be alone, and what I mean by that is that it goes back to social media and the wonderful connections that we have out there. I belong to several author groups, and these are mostly on Facebook where you can create like a Facebook group. I belong to several like genre-focused author groups where we talk to each other every day. We can give each other advice. If we have questions, we can ask each other. A lot of these groups have like specific themes for each day, like Meet Me Monday. We talk about ourselves. Usually a leader will ask, some sort of question. We can all chime in. We get to have a day where we share something. We share a book. We share a promotion. I share a YouTube video, something like that. We have days where we can brag about like good accomplishments that we've done. We help support each other. We help tweet each other. It's a huge support group, and it's so fabulous. And I've done book events in the past where I've been able to like meet these other women and authors in these groups, and I've got to travel to book events and meet them, and it's so wonderful to be able to have those connections with people and also to have that help. There's times where I've done it myself. I've seen other authors do it, like I'm down, I'm in a slump, my sales aren't good, I don't know what to do, and you can go into your group and you can say that, and other people can lift you back up and make you feel motivated again. And it's such a wonderful thing. With social media and the way that it is and the reach that we can have, there's no reason that you should have to do this alone. So my suggestion is to definitely find different groups. Maybe they'll be on social media, maybe there'll be groups that you can physically go to. I just found out in my town there's like a certain group that meets once a month for writers in the Des Moines area, and I really wanted to check it out at least once and see how it goes. It makes me kind of nervous because I'm definitely an introvert, but I'm excited to do it because it's a great way to form connections and definitely get support and motivation. Another do that I have for authors is do get opinions on your book before you publish it. Get your beta readers. I have 3 beta readers that I use on a pretty consistent basis, and so what that is, it's after I write my book, it's finished, it's done, but it hasn't gone to an editor yet, it hasn't gone to the proofreader, I'm not even thinking about publishing it yet. I send it to my beta readers. All these girls are somehow in the book community, either book bloggers or somehow they are involved in the book community, which to me I think is really helpful, but I send it to them for their feedback. I do this because a lot of times after we've written our first drafts, then we've rewrote scenes, and then maybe we wrote huge chunks of the book, but it gets to a point where I'm so immersed in my story that I can't really tell if A plus B equals C. I can't tell if we've gotten there because now the story is so like in my head and I know what I want my characters to say and do. I can't tell if it's like making sense anymore, and so that's when I gotta send it out and be like, you guys tell me if it makes sense because I don't know. And you want people who are going to be honest with you. You don't want people that are just going to come back and be like, that was really good, thumbs up. Like, you want people to be like, hey, this part didn't make sense. In my last book, Up to I Do, I had this big scene where the husband won't tell, the fiance won't tell his bride-to-be where they're going on their honeymoon, and he's going to surprise her with the honeymoon, and it says it several times in the book, you know, he's going to surprise her. And then I completely forgot to put that in there, and one of my beta readers wrote back and was like, hey, what happened to the honeymoon? I was like, oh, dear Lord. So that's why you have them. They can offer you suggestions and critiques, of course, in a nice way, but it can still help you because it's only going to make your book better. So have beta readers. You know, sometimes I'll send my books to like my mom and she can help give me feedback. She's a very tough critic. She's also really good at proofreading for me. She finds mistakes that I miss. And it's just good to get opinions and feedback in addition to your editor. You know, sometimes even your proofreader can make editing comments, but it's good to have that because those are your readers and you want to make sure your book is resonating with your readers. My very last don't is another kind of like social media tip, but it's one that I see out there a lot, but then I still see a lot of authors doing it, and that is only being on social media to sell yourself and sell your books. And what I mean by that is only seeing authors who post Facebook posts or Twitters or Instagram posts just being like, buy my book, hey, my book's out, buy my book. Did you know my book's out? Did you know I published a book? My book is on sale. Buy my book. Because that can get very, very annoying. I will go through what I do because at the same time, you're on social media because you are trying to sell yourself, you are trying to sell your books, you are trying to find more readers. But it's like, where do you find that balance? And this is something that actually was brought to my attention probably within the past 16 months or so. And I really try to refocus my social media strategy to try to figure out how to be better and not just sell myself online. So what I do is, I'm very much like a scheduler person. I have to have a set schedule down or else I'm just confused and I don't know what's going on. But what I do is I post on my social media at least 6 times a day. So 6 posts a day. Social media or Facebook, Twitter, there is ways to schedule posts so you don't have to feel like you're always at your computer. There is websites like Hootsuite where you can schedule and they'll go out at certain times. So those are really helpful. But what I do is I post every 2 personal posts to 1 sell post, if that makes sense. So for my personal posts, I'll just talk about the weather. I'll share my yoga pictures. I'll show pictures of my dogs. I'll say funny quotes. I'll just say what I'm thinking, what's on the top of my head. I'll say that I want vacation and I'm tired of the snow, that sort of thing. And then when I do my sell posts, sometimes I'm like, hey, look, my book's on Amazon, or hey, look at this 5-star review. But sometimes my sell post is just acknowledging that I'm an author. Hey, I wrote a scene today, hashtag I'm writing. You know, like, oh, still working on rewrites for book 5, hashtag I'm editing, that sort of thing. So it's not really like a sell post. I'm not posting any links to Amazon or Goodreads or asking for reviews or things like that, but I'm just acknowledging, hey, I am an author, this is what I do.
Hashtag I'm an author.
Post as many times a day as you want, as you don't want. You can schedule posts. I mean, that's just my piece of advice. That's just what I do. But readers will definitely connect with you on more than just a buy my book, buy my book, buy my book level. And I have found once I started posting other things that my Facebook reach expanded, but also just the amount of comments that I get and new people that I have found. I now have friends that I've made in the yoga community buying my books, which is mind-blowing. I have found connections with people who own the same type of dog breed that I do. I have a Vizsla, and I'll post pictures of her and I'll use the hashtags, you know, Vizsla, Vizsla love, Vizsla puppy, etc. And I find people who are Vizsla owners as well, and they contact me, and then I say oh, I have a book out, and I'll get messages like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were a writer, I just bought your book, how cool is that? And I'm like, oh, how cool is that? So you want to be a real person on social media. You want to show your readers and you want to show new people hey, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I do, that sort of thing, and you don't want to only sell your book. So that's a big piece of advice, and it truly, really, really turned around my social media efforts, I think, when I started doing this. So just be a real. So that is my author do's and don'ts video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found some of it helpful. Like I said in the beginning, if you're doing something that works for you and I say something to disclaim that, if it works for you, keep making it work for you. We're all different. Our books are different. You just got to do what works for you. These are just my opinions, my suggestions, my pieces of advice, things that I've seen work for me, things that I've seen work for other authors. Again, we're all different. You do you. If you're doing good things, do you. Please do comment below if you have any other do's or don'ts or just pieces of advice, etc. Comment below and let us know, because like I said, we're all different, and maybe something that I said won't work for someone watching, but if you comment below, maybe it would work for them, and then we can just all help each other, because I feel like that's such an awesome thing that I belong to a community that technically, I guess we're all competing with each other, but I don't feel like it ever feels that way, and I can very much say that honestly, because everyone wants to help, everyone wants to share, everyone wants to give their advice, everyone wants to see each other succeed, because who doesn't want to see books succeed? I mean, who doesn't want to see that, right? Am I right? I think I'm right. But I feel like I've been talking forever. I feel like these author videos are always so long, but it's because I love books so much. I love my career. I love what I do. I love the people I meet. I love the books I read. It's just something that I have a huge passion for. I feel so grateful that this is what I get to do every day, is be surrounded by books and the other lovely authors that I get to come into contact with on a daily basis. I'm so appreciative and usually overwhelmed that this is my life. But I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you do like these author videos, please do give this one a thumbs up, because that helps me out knowing what you guys like to see. If you have any other ideas or suggestions that you would want to see for the next author video, I try to do one usually once a month. But if you have anything else or specific questions, please do just leave them below. I will be so happy to take a look at those and try to figure out what to do for my next video. I hope you will subscribe before you go, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!